Welcome, welcome, welcome. In today's video, I'm doing my own review of the Carl Gray Angels and Ancestors Oracle decks, a 55 card deck and guide with the artwork by Lily Moses. It is part of the Hay House live series. I'm not too sure whether Hay House still puts that on their decks. I've seen them, I've not seen them. There's a reasoning behind it. The price in the reverse is $18.99 US and $24.99 Canadian. Now this deck is, as I said, 55 cards. There's 30 sacred ones, there's 12 guardians or healing, there's 9 warrior symbols, and there's 4 seasons. So I will also be talking about a few readings that I've recently done with this deck and how they came about and how the cards were interpreted. So let's get started. We've got the beautiful gold on the side. We've got the standard Hay House box. Inside we do have quotes. The quote is, guardians of the four corners, mother in the earth, father in the sky, angels, ancestors, sacred ones, I call on you and welcome you here now. I set the intention that what is ever gained from the lessons learned from this tour will be dedicated to the growth of all beings in all places. So that is the deck, obviously very snug. The cards don't roll around. The cards itself, shall we discuss the cards? Perhaps we should. Okay, the cards are quite thick. They spring back into shape. So if you're like that, they do spring back into shape. They are not glossy. They are very, very matte. This is the reverse of the deck. It's like a watercolor at the back. Lily Moses is a brilliant, brilliant artist. She's done a few decks for Carl Gray. You have got down the bottom, you have got the wording there that points you to the direction of what the card's about, and obviously you've got the guidebook. See the new numbers here, the ancestors, all the numbers coming through. So that is the deck itself. So let's get started into this deck. That I haven't put them in some sort of order, but let's look at the guidebook also. Now the guidebook is beautiful as always, nice and thick, well, like I have used this deck a lot, so the guidebook is well used. It's never going to fall apart. Each page for the cards comes with a beautiful big picture, synopsis of the message, what it's about, and the extended message. Now, I do have something negative to say about the guidebook. The guidebook is generally in alphabetical order, but because Carl has put this deck in sacred ones, guardian and healing, so we'll just try and find the guardian and healing, guardians and messengers, and then we have the warrior symbols. I find when you're trying to flick really quickly that you don't want to think about all this stuff. You just want to go alphabetically and just go, yep, A, B, C, D, yep, there we go. And I feel like that's a really bad thing about this deck. I feel like it's the guidebook and the way it's used. Maybe some other people aren't as fussy as me, but I don't like to frig around. I just like to open up the guidebook alphabetically. I don't need to go, okay, I've got to go to the seasons now. Okay, I've got to go to here. But I can understand why he's done it that way. But for the use, especially if you're doing lives and you really want the quick meaning, yeah, it's a bit hard. Okay, and the guidebook does have how to work with the cards, the integrity of working with the deck, how to conduct readings, raising your vibration, storing the cards, cleansing the cards, shuffling the cards, reading both for yourself and for others, and also spreads. So if you want to see the spreads. So we've got the 3 card. We've got the Celtic compass cross, we've got reading and 2 card spreads. So that's it. So let's have a look at the deck a bit closer. And I will discuss some of the readings that I've recently done just to give you an idea of how I read intuitively with this deck. Now personally, I don't find this deck very easy to read with. Maybe because I'm not a big person to vibe with angels. I'm finding that more and more now, so maybe I'll come back to this deck and revisit it and think differently. But currently I use the guidebook, but I don't really find I'm getting deep messages from here. But it's great if you're learning to read. It's great if you're using this as an oracle deck, using the book, learning to grow, you know, learning to read. It's a fabulous, easy deck to take on board. So just take that on board. But this is my review, so I'm just taking it. This star ancestor I did read for somebody. It's beautiful, beautiful message there. Mother Earth, feel love and comforted. I mean, you just cannot fault the beautiful artistry. And, you know, we've got the mixture, like we've got the Aboriginal here, the Elder, got the Hermit. The Great Teacher did come up in a reading recently. That came up with another card. I have recently had the Great Teacher and I had to pull out another card. It came up with the Eagle, and it was about a relationship, about a girl who I just felt like she was suffocated from this person that was attracted to her. And in the old times, she probably would have jumped at the trance of going out with this person. So this is about seeing it from a higher perspective. And she had to use the lessons that she'd learnt from other relationships, that she doesn't want this drama with this person, and this person's not listening, and she's non-trusting. And so this reading was all about this person's not going to be good for her, you know, to use the past as a lesson, to learn and move on. And she's now seeing things a lot clearer than she once did, you know, she's matured. So that's how I read those cards there. This one's beautiful. Look at the artistry here. It is a beautiful deck. Shaman. I just love the use of like I guess you can say African Indian style through here. The shaman energy, the shield maiden. The peacekeeper was another one that came up. And, you know, I generally read for this lady. So it was really about holding on to your opinion, not giving your opinion to everything, you know, like you don't always have to be right, you know. It was about standing strong and firm, but just let some things go, allow more peace into your life. That was the reading with that one. The Lord was another powerful reading that came through. The Stargazer, this was all about, you can see here all the beautiful symbols here very, 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 very clearly if you look, you know. And it was really about, you know, she looks a bit unhappy here, but it was about her utilizing her gifts, but she's holding on to her gifts, not realizing she's got them there, you know, like they're there with her, but she's just not seeing them. So, and it was about her also too going through a lot of stress, and it was about her stepping outside and looking up at the stars and feeling a bit more calmer. Shapeshifter, isn't that beautiful? Look at the snake here in there. Again, the eagle coming through. The warrior. So you've got the New Zealand. I'm not too sure whether it's Hawaiian maybe, but I feel being Australian, this is very New Zealand. The High Priestess. This came up in another reading as well. It was all about, yeah, it did come up in a reading. It was about keeping people at arm's length. I'll try and find the other card if it pops up. Let's put some other ones up here. Father Sky is a beautiful card. Look at this. It's absolutely stunning. Do you know, out of all of this deck, I don't know what my favourite card is. Lady. The Heart Guardian, love and let yourself be loved. The Knight. This came up in an interesting, very interesting reading. And it was sort of like a woman who had left her husband, and it was about her standing strong morally, doing what's right for her children and her family, you know, and it's okay not to be jumping into love right now, you know. And it was a beautiful reading in the fact that she's putting her family first, and that was a good thing. You can see, look at the intricacy here. So it was just a reminder that the universe is seeing that, you know, she will be rewarded. And it was quite interesting. She has rose tattoos with thorns, so that was quite interesting. But I did say to her, you know, you see the beauty in things, but you also are mindful of how and what they can be of in a negative way. You know, you're not always looking at things thinking that they're beautiful. You can sort of use your intuition now. You're more guided. So that was a beautiful reading of her, and congratulations to her for being a wonderful mother and putting her family first. The Traveller, the Trader. I remember Cole Gray talking about this card, and the artist had taken a photograph of the Trader here so she could do that. It's just interesting. I love hearing about how my decks come to fruition and why. I've never noticed this before, but I'm noticing this now. She's got the moth or the butterfly, be the light, the oracle, wait for information, important information, the wise one. You can see here, it's got the pearl there. You can also see the moon above the owl. There's a lot of symbolism here. Medicine woman, it's just beautiful. Medicine mother, the sage. And they're like real people. They're like, you could just come up to this guy and have a bit of a chat, and that's how you can really talk to this deck, as if they're real people, and that you're getting information from them intuitively. It's just so lovely. Then you've got the hunter, the druid, holding space. This has come up about not taking, this came up as don't judge somebody, don't be so quick to judge somebody, don't be so quick to cut off somebody and not to get to know them, knowing that this person's maybe in your face or they're full on. So it's just a reminder there of just, give them time. The she-wolf, the high priest, and then we see, if you can have a look here, we've got the high priestess on the other side. The seer, this came through in the reading with the medicine guardian. It actually turned into a mediumship reading, which her dad came through and had passed away. The animal guardian, this is what is on the cover of the deck. The mirror guardian. It's quite interesting because I did say to the woman when I was reading that, I feel like I'm going to get this one, trust your instincts. So it's quite interesting because now that I think about the reading, it was about, her using her instincts. So it's interesting how that came through. And then we have the other guardian, the earth guardian, beautiful. The direction guardian, choose your path. I know when I pull this card for myself, I'm like, it's one of those cards that you're like, the fire guardian, the water guardian. She's beautiful, isn't she? The protection guardians come up in a few readings. This is all about, this came up in a reading, it came up in a couple of readings, but this came up in this reading with this card, and it was about a fellow sort of not wanting to mix with people or get to know people or socialize with them because he's not a drinker. He doesn't agree with the drinker. He was sort of keeping them at arm's bay. But this was just a message about, get to know them, like, okay, you don't drink, but there can be other social situations that you can get together and know these people and sort of drop your shields a little bit and get to know them past the drinking, past the alcohol, past the partying. So that was that message there that was brought through with the protection guardian. And also too, it has come up through another reading where it was just a reminder here of it's okay to get to know somebody again. A lady had issues with her dad, and I said, times have changed now. You're both to blame back then, but you've matured now, and it's okay to rekindle that relationship because you are a lot different. But at that time, you were both to blame for the situation. The air guardian, the magic guardian, the guardian angel, and this is the medicine guardian that came up in a mediumship reading. It came up with another card, and it came up with her brother had pancreatitis, and then her dad came through. That was with the seer card. It's at the back here. Maybe it was one of the first ones here, was it? Sorry. There's the seer card. So these two cards popped up, and her dad came through in spirit, and he was just guiding the daughter about the brother who was in hospital with pancreatitis that needed to change, needed to stop drinking. that was very interesting that her dad had come through, who had also died of cancer, so when she was 16. So it's always nice to be able to bring those readings through. I feel like, oh, there they are. I was like, oh, I feel like we're missing some cards. We definitely are. And then we've got these cards that are popping up. The drum card. These are the symbol cards. The eagle. The broken arrow. The summer. This has come up a few times, you know, just for people being joyful, being happy. The winter card. Well, that shouldn't be there, but that goes with the seasons. We've got the moon card, the arrow card, the stag card, the mountains, and then we've got the seasons here. So we've already seen, oh no, we haven't got all of the seasons. We've got autumn, and then we've got the snake. So this is what I'm saying. The deck, you know, with the use of the book could have been a little bit easier. But that is the deck there. So I hope that you like my take on this deck. I find that it's a really nice deck. It's lovely to have. The imagery is beautiful. But for me, the messages aren't deep. So if you're not wanting to go deep and you're just wanting to utilize the guidebook, perfect to get started with. You know, a lot of people love this deck. Let's do a reading for us. What do we need to know? What do we need to know? Very hardy deck. The stag, and I'll read this from the book so you can understand what you get from the book and what information you can get from the book. And again, I've got to, you know, flick around a little bit and find where it is. So this is the stag. It says, come alive and thrive. Stand in your light and glory with grace and majesty. The stag card brings graceful and powerful medicine into your life in the Celtic traditions. The stag with his crown of antlers is known as the king of the forest and is a totem that brings protection in challenging times. In Native American tradition, he is greatly loved for stags and deers, provided food for the people and materials that have allowed them to create medicine items such as drums, rattles, and smudge fans. Although the stag has been hunted in the past and still is, he has the strength, dignity, and poise. When this card arises, it can also represent fertility and sexuality. Maybe an opportunity to explore your sexual side with your spiritual integrity supporting you on the journey. And then we have the extended message. And while I read through the extended message, I will put some cards back on here. You have an opportunity to thrive. Trust in all that you have to offer. All your gifts, strength and power, and make the most of it. You are born to lead, and this can only become reality when you're willing to put yourself in that position. Stag energy allows you to feel safe because the antlers keep away anything that could interfere with your intelligence and presence. And their strength gives you the power to be agile in your thinking. You're being encouraged to retain your dignity and be proud of who you are and all you've accomplished. This in turn will give you even more power to thrive. Onwards and upwards. Beautiful cards, beautiful reading, beautiful messages. Let me know if you have this deck, if you've dusted it off, if you haven't utilized it for a while, or if you're thinking of buying it and adding it to your collection. Now, don't forget also as well, I have done the Kyle Gray Angel Prayers Oracle deck, the review also. I'll put the link in the description box up here. You can click on it and go and watch it now. But up until next time, until I do another deck review, until then.